And at any time you have a question, shoot it out. But I got to give you the microphone because we have it online too, in case somebody is online so they can hear you. Okay? All right. Go ahead there, sir.
All right, Greg Tominski. I'm the fire chief of Middleton and Star Fire Districts. We are two separate fire districts. We have two separate boards and two separate budgets, but we operate under a joint powers agreement as one. So all of our folks are mixed up from one of the three stations, and we provide a better service that way. We share administration. So instead of having two chiefs, two fire marshals, two ops chiefs, and two training chiefs, we combined all that and doing it as one to save both districts money and be able to supply the service that we supply today. So the fire districts last year, Star ran just about 1,500 calls, just over 1,500 calls, and Middleton ran about 1,400. So combined, we're just under 3,000 total calls for the year. Star Fire District is 55 square miles, and Middleton's 110 square miles. So in that 165 square miles, we ran just under 3,000 total calls.
It's a lot of miles when you think about it.
You have to take into consideration that we have a lot of BLM ground that we protect, and there isn't. We do have activity out there. We get fire started out there, but we also get assistance from the BLM on their property. But we are the first response because they're coming out of. They have a station. Wild West is closest station is in Eagle on right off of Highway 55, and then the rest of them come from Nifsey, the yard out there where they all hang out. And if they're not available because they're on a big fire someplace, then they come in from Vail or Hammett. So it can be a long time before we get that assistance in the BLM ground. So yes,
for BLM or just fire trucks? Oh.
So yeah, we also have mutual aid from all the neighboring departments.
Yeah.
And so when we have a big incident like they've had in the foothills, we've had up above Chaparral Road several times over the last several years, we will get Eagle, Meridian, Boise, Caldwell, Nampa, Parma. They all come.
Yeah.
But they all have to leave some equipment and personnel in their districts to also respond to calls that are continuing in those areas. So they strategically take people, closest units, and they don't deplete each one of the fire districts or fire departments. I would say our struggles today are a result of some policy changes from our legislature. In 2020, they passed a House bill to reduce property tax. And as fire chiefs and fire districts and departments throughout the state of Idaho, we didn't do a really good job of voicing our opinion at the Capitol for what happens to emergency services when property taxes are decreased. So fire districts in particular, different than fire departments, districts are 97% reliant on property tax. So when property taxes go down at your house, then that's a result of somebody not getting the funding needed. And so that's where we're struggling right now is the cost, since the cost of everything. I have a little brochure for anybody that is interested in taking one. If you don't mind handing them out.
I'll hand them out.
The cost of equipment for emergency services for fire particularly, that has gone up that brochure shows how it went up over the last year. I'm getting the data to show what's happened since 2020. And it's significant. And with the amount of loss in revenue from property tax, good afternoon. From property taxes, we're we are suffering, and it's going to force us to, this may put on a ballot a levy increase. And we've done a good job in partnership with the city of being able to collect impact fees, so new growth pays for itself. So we have the funding available through impact fees for fire stations and some of the equipment for new fire trucks to fill those stations, but we don't have the budget authority anymore to hire the people.
So hang on a second.
Talking to a
Let me
microphone,
get
I'm
you the
sorry.
mic here real quick here.
I can yell.
I know, but they can't, you can yell all you want, but the internet world won't hear you.
Can you guys increase the impact fees? Or is
So
that something that goes to the state?
So no, impact fees, there's a specific formula that they have to utilize for impact fees, but they can never be used for personnel. It can only be used for equipment.
Can that get changed?
The state can change the laws if they choose.
Because I've already written them about the school impact fees, because you
Yeah.
guys don't have that.
Right,
So
right. So it could get changed, but you got to get willing participants at the legislature that would change those laws.
The other challenge with that, I mean, it's a thought that obviously we've all have discussed several times and discussed about going down there and trying to change that. But if building stops, we don't get impact fees. So if I go and hire, I'm different than the police department. The police department is able to put one police officer on and make a difference in this community. To open up a fire station, have to have a minimum of 9. So that's $1.4 million of ongoing expense.
down on the property taxes?
So, yeah, do you want me to explain it or do you want to explain it?
So by the end of this budget cycle, 2024, December 31st, we will have lost $1,050,000 in budget authority.
So the deal is, so with that House bill that came in 2020, it basically limited any taxing district at a maximum of 8% with growth. And so basically what we're losing is budget authority on annexations, growth, things like that, that would have come with new construction, not passed on to the existing homeowners. So it's a philosophy that was taken in 2020 that's really hampering fire districts right now in some of the smaller districts, even some of the smaller cities that have very little property tax authority.
Raise the money?
Well, that's here. We'll
Okay.
let him tell. He'll tell you. Yeah. Oh,
So,
and you had a question too.
I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, with all the new builds coming everywhere,
Uh.
that doesn't help with property taxes?
It does.
It does help
does.
with the impact fees, and it does increase,
I'll talk about that. What you're talking about.
it does increase our budget authority. But with that brochure that you currently can look at, it shows the cost. The costs are going up more than that 8%.
Yeah.
So we're able to increase our budget a maximum of 8%. And when a fire truck so we bought 2 fire trucks, one for Middleton and one for Star, in 2020. We got them in April of 2021. Those fire trucks were $602,000 a piece. Today, to buy that fire truck is 1.1 million and almost 4 years
To get it.
before it's delivered.
So you're buying it ahead of time to get it in 4 years. But I just to put it in numbers, just think about it. If you have a $3 million budget, taxing authority and property tax, you can only increase it 8%. Maximum, if you get there, is $240,000. When he's talking about it takes what'd you say, 5 million? Somewhere?
1.4 million to staff.
To staff a station, it's going to take you, what, 6 years of increasing that tax authority if you can get the full 8% every year before you can actually staff that station. And that's what's creating some of the challenges on the public safety side for them. So
And
Yeah.
to your question about, is there any other way
I'm
to
going to have
increase?
to yours a little bit more later.
So yes and no. So everything that we can charge for, like we can't we're already charging you as property owners for response. You're paying it in your property tax. So then we can charge for plan reviews, but it's plan reviews. So we're doing subdivision plan reviews, commercial plan reviews. The state statute says that we can charge the hourly rate of the person doing it times the amount of hours it takes them to do it. So you're talking like $200 to do a daycare inspection. It says in state statute that it's $25 for the yearly inspection. For a beer and wine license inspection, it's $75. So all those little tiny things, I mean, they do add up, but they don't add up to cost of even one firefighter.
Yes.
Yes. It's a requirement for us to go and check commercial properties once a year for just a safety inspection. No,
No, when you talk about the hourly amount, what the daycare one you said was $25? I mean, you're not even paying for the time of the fire person that goes out. So hang on, let's,
If I'm not mistaken, usually when you go out, there's more than one person that's going out and doing that, correct?
not necessarily in here.
no, we just have one person that goes out and does that. It's the fire marshal.
Can you increase that cost?
Not without the state increasing
Oh my
it.
gosh.
Yep.
And then
Oh, well, welcome to our world.
we get revenue sharing for sales tax. But the revenue sharing for sales tax, the most that the Star Fire District has ever received is $190,000. And we've got as low as $25,000 10 years ago. So it's not enough to,
It's all legislation. Remember the state controls almost everything that they create the rules that we have to live by and the funding mechanisms on how we collect them. We can't ever create that. We get unique. You got to talk to your legislatures about changing about the concerns that he's talking about right here in this pamphlet, because he's going to probably tell you a little bit more about what's going to be coming forward, probably, right?
yeah. So in May, like I mentioned earlier, in May, we're going to be coming to our tax base and asking for a levy increase. That's the only way that we can pass to get more money into the budget to be able to hire the people. It hasn't been exactly determined the amount yet, but the rough numbers that we're looking at so far is $50 per $100,000 of taxable value. So average house price in Star is probably $600,000. You're looking at $250 a year, more than what you pay now.
Or 300.
300.
300 in firefighter act.
So are you able to control the amount of levy that Star is able to retain? Or does that levy again get spread out over the entire Ada County area based on percentage that each city?
Yep. So, okay, I'll answer that question for you real quick. So in Star, we have 12 taxing districts, 12 separate ones, right? Yeah. Star Fire is one of those taxing districts. So there is a specific levy amount that Star Fire is part of your overall levy. They get that amount. So every taxing district gets the amount that they're levying. For instance, the city of Star, we only levy $1.89 million towards property taxes for the city. We only get that amount back from all the taxpayers in the city of Star, right, through that levy. So if your property taxes are $2,000 a year, that gets split up between those 12 taxing districts based on their levy amounts. Does that make sense? So there's no way to just fluctuate and push somebody else's levy over to the fire department. That won't work. Right, they can't take it away. Yeah, 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 absolutely,
I
yeah.
don't need the mic.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
So I came in a few minutes late. Apologize. You may have already covered this, but why did our property taxes drop so dramatically this year? We went down by almost $1,800.
Yeah.
And I was in shock.
So so it's a couple things that happened there. The state did, I can't remember what the bill was last year.
292.
292, right? They provided money from the state coffers to come in to reduce everybody's property taxes. Then you also had some money go back to the schools through that same process that reduced our property taxes because of the levies that they were, or the bonds that they were paying with that. But then we also saw a flux in residential values going down and commercial values going up. So you had some of that burden shift over to the commercial side as well from the residential side. So you had kind of a three-legged stool that caused that property tax amount that you're paying this year to go down. It's up to the state to maintain that House Bill 292 every year in order for us to maintain and see that reduction on a yearly basis, right? If that ever goes away, you'll see it jump back up, right? if we see property values in Star, which they've, over the last 4 years, they've skyrocketed, right? I mean, my very first house in Star I built was $97,000, right? The house that I bought in 2017 was 290, and they valued it at 800,000. Well, good Lord, man. I mean, that's a huge increase in property taxes. And when you're talking about 12 taxing districts, only 4 of those taxing districts, you could almost compare apples to apples in the city of Star, because they're, either the Star Fire, Star City, Star Cemetery District. The other 8 are countywide. So when the values in Star are skyrocketing at a 65% rate, and the values in other parts of the county only going up 30% rate, right? You have a shift of 30% of that or more coming over here to those of us in Star paying more of the county side of those taxes versus other areas. So there's all sorts of funny ways that the property taxes fluctuate here in Idaho with that. And so that's why it went up and down. It's great that they were able to put some of that surplus money back to give us a break, but there's going to be a point where that's not going to be able to be there, and everybody's just going to go back up, right? Right, right. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
To fully answer your question on the taxes stayed within the district. So we have district boundaries. And those property taxes that are collected within the Star Fire Protection District, which includes a portion of the city limits of Eagle, not downtown, but just east of Highway 16, and then portions of the city of Middleton, just on the west side of Kingsbury. And then we have the city of Star, obviously, and then we have unincorporated Ada County and unincorporated Canyon County within the Star Fire Protection District. So all that money that is collected within those borders stays in those borders. It doesn't go
It doesn't go
outside.
outside, yeah, for that taxing district.
I think I'll stand for any questions.
You got any more good news or?
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
They know, then what?
Then the fire station that we are going to start building, I think they actually sent the plans in this week to start the building of that station over on Floating Feather, would not be staffed.
It would be an unstaffed facility for a period of time until we can get that levy increased, or the state makes some adjustments to help protect our life safety aspect of what they did in 2020. Right? The problem is the state went after cities. For whatever reason, they continue to go after cities, but everybody else is collateral damage. Right? And so Star Fire has become collateral damage to this. The EMS system is the same thing. They're in the same situation. Our ambulance service, they're collateral damage to it as well. Right? And so it's been a battle for everybody. I don't know what this is doing to me. Maybe I got it up too high. I don't know. I feel like I'm ready to eat that mic. I don't know, but it's been a battle for all of us to try to get some changes made to some of these laws that they put in place. But there's some very powerful people that have got a lot of influence over people that don't change stuff, to be quite honest, right? That's in the state legislature. So
The big question, which is a very reasonable question that hasn't been asked, so I'll answer it ahead of time, is why would you build a fire station if you can't put people in it? Collecting those impact fees, there's rules on how long you're allowed to keep them. So after 7 years, we can ask for one extension. But then after 10 years, if you don't spend that money, it's first in, first out, you have to give it back to the original property owner. And that's a job that nobody really wants to ever have to tackle. So our philosophy was that fire station is not going to be cheaper next year, or the year after, or the year after that. It's only the cost of everything continues to go up. We better do it now while we have the money and before we hit our 7-year mark. So we're going to build that fire station. We hope that we can be able to pass a levy increase to be able to staff that fire station. If not, we'd have to wait an entire year to ask again. And the hard part for passing a levy increase is, one, we all have to pay more. Number two is it has to pass by 66 2/3%.
it's a super majority.
So we need here.
Yep.
had serious asthma attacks before where you guys had to be called. He was diabetic. Have to call to bring him back, out of his coma. I need you guys to be there for us, right?
Correct.
So what can the city do or
So
what can we do?
well, I guess they have to get through this process before they can put it on the ballot. And then once they release this out, then it'd be helpful for every citizen to get out there and inform their neighbors. They'll do a bunch of probably meet and greet style things to provide information to folks so they understand why they're doing this, right?
So the first thing that'll come out, we gave Clearwater as a company that's helping us with the marketing of this and the numbers of this project, because it's a huge undertaking and we don't have a huge staff. So
Right.
we got to do what we got to do. And I think they're hoping if it doesn't come out by this weekend, it'll come out first part of next week is a survey. It'll come out to email addresses within the fire district. And then on social media, they'll put a QR code for you to answer questions. Try to get the feeling of how people are, if they're interested in helping or if they want more information. And then Trevor's 100% correct. We're going to be doing open houses. We're going to be passing these flyers out as we update them because we have the big building down here in Star, and the community room is used a lot. Homeowners associations use it a lot. And so we're going to have all this data in those, and we will be going to each one for the first minute or so of each one of those homeowners association meetings and trying to pass these out and make sure they get them. And then there'll be mailers that come out as well, asking for our citizens' help in this issue. So we have a lot of work to do between today and May 21st.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, but there's hope. We just keep it positive and just keep
Yep.
driving it forward.
Players don't use the fire station.
Mhm.
We're small, we're only 7 people. But we butt up to Aaron, that uses the clubhouse.
The information still will get out to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't be left out, I promise. There'll be all sorts of, they'll figure out their marketing plan with this team, on how they're going to get the information out to everybody.
The other thing that I don't want you to think that we are not going to be able to respond. We aren't so busy that we are missing calls. We have the backup of the other two fire stations. Number one, time will take a little bit longer for them to get there, obviously, if the engine or truck in this station is busy at the moment. We also have automatic aid agreements with Eagle and with all the departments around us. So that automatically the closest unit will come no matter what. And so we're not so busy that we can't take the calls. Time is an essence. If you're having trouble breathing, like you said, or your husband's in a diabetic coma and needs help, time is of the essence. Heart attacks, strokes, car accidents, house fires, all those things are time is an essence for each one of those things. So with the growth that we've had and the traffic that we get from all over this Treasure Valley, we'll just say, it takes us longer to get places. So the reason that we're building the fire station over where we're building it is because we can't get in 5 minutes from where the current fire station is to that side of the district. And we try our hardest to get to all the calls within 5 minutes, unless you choose to live way up north of the district. And I mean, those folks know that when they buy a house up there, that it's going to take us 15 minutes to get there. It'll also help them.
Good. Chief. Consideration for volunteer fire. We used to be that way.
So we are the only staffed fire station, fully staffed fire station that does use, you really can't call them volunteers anymore because nobody really wants to volunteer. So we have part-timers and we have interns. So the College of Western Idaho has a fire science program. And that fire science program, once they get their initial training, they get their Fire One certificate and their EMT certificate. To finish out, to get their degree, they have to have practical experience. So we're taking those folks and we're putting those folks on our engine. So they're already trained when they come out of the CWI Academy with their EMT and their Firefighter One. And then we hone them in on their skills and give them the practical. So we're the only ones doing that today is Middleton and Star Fire Districts. We're the only ones that are doing that today. I believe that Napa may have just started. Heard that Eagle wants to start because there's about 18 that graduate from that program and we can take 3. We only have so many seats within our fire truck, so we have to have a captain, engineer, and then we can have a part-timer or one of our firefighters on as the third person. It takes 3 people to man an engine. So we are using all the resources that are available to us to make sure that our engines are full every day.
We get creative in this town, that's for sure.
We have to be
We
creative.
got to be creative. All right. Are you good? That was good.
I'm
That
good.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have Chief Hessing that could, and if you, honest, I mean, if you have a fire question that clicks on, I mean, we can still ask the question.
Let's see, I'm Chief Zach Hessing, Star Police Department. Before I get into the police side of it, just as I was listening to the fire chief here, something you might be interested in listening to, if you go back and you listen to budget talks back with the Ada County with the Sheriff Matt Clifford, one of the things is he's talking about being dispatched or getting a call and responding to that they're still getting those calls. But one area that we really need help with is our dispatchers. So we do dispatch sheriff. So to kind of explain, I'm a lieutenant at the Ada County Sheriff's Office assigned as the chief of Star Police Department. So I kind of have 2 roles. So I'm very in tune with what Ada County needs. And one of the things that they really need is more dispatchers. We had a company come in and look at how the call load that we're getting. We do dispatching not only for police, but also for fire, EMS, and it's for Meridian, Boise, all the cities within Ada County. We're about 17 dispatchers low, I believe, of what we're supposed to have. And there has been 911 calls that have gone unanswered to the tune of about 100,000, if I remember right, of last year. And again, that's a number just off the top of my head. But something that you might want to pay attention to as you're looking at budgets and looking at, I mean, I think about, you know, as you stated that you have asthma, your husband has diabetic. Those type of calls need to be answered, and we need to respond to those as fast as possible because seconds matter. And my biggest concern right now for all of Ada County is the dispatcher side of that, of making sure those 911 calls are being handled and divvied out appropriately.
Dispatcher's budget is
With the Ada County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, and Ada County Sheriff's budget's with Ada County. So Ada County, the sheriff's budget, Ada County commissioners are the one that approve all the budgets for the different agencies. The coroner, the sheriff, the treasurer, the auditor, the clerk's office, all that all comes from the Ada County Commission. They all supply their budget. So it's very important to get involved with that budgeting process, you know, and make sure that you express your support and get people to express your support to even add dispatchers, right, to that. So that's a key.
Yeah.
On that statement.
No, I know. It's people online that I'm just got to make sure that they understand that what your question is.
So the 17 that you're short, is there budget for those 17 now, or does that still
No.
need to be approved?
So they,
by the commission?
Go ahead. Yeah.
so no, it has not been approved. So we did add a couple of dispatchers this last year, but not near the amount we needed to. So this year, I'm guessing, as they're talking about budget, that's something that's going to be brought up again of a need that Ada County Sheriff's Office needs, because the sheriff's in charge of the dispatch center. So he's probably going to go to the commissioners and ask for a budget increase to increase more dispatchers. So it's something we still need and we don't have the budget for.
And just because he asked doesn't mean they give it to him. That's the thing, right? So it's very important that we support that, obviously, because it's life safety. There's one thing that we're all fiscally conservative. However, we got to be responsible with the life safety aspect of it. And we have to pay for these services. They're just not free, right? So we got to figure this out a little bit. And so people's property taxes will go up a little bit if they increase the budget. Again, Ada County's will never hit the 8% number because their budget number is so freaking high because they do property tax for the entire county, right? But it's important that we get involved as a citizenry at the budget process steps where they have the public hearings and things like that, and express your support for that, even write letters and things like that. So
Mike Moyle, who obviously owns the street that runs across state down here sooner or later it's going to get a stoplight.
Mhm.
Withhold the stoplight.
that's not his stoplight.
That's not his-
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but you guys can put pressure on them.
I would encourage, you can look up those budget meetings and you can kind of watch and you can see, again, Sheriff Matt Clifford did a great job on talking about, what's the needs of Ada County, and it would bring up some good information for you. So you're in the know of what they're asking for and their needs. So.
For us here in Star or for the county? County's a little different.
Your city subcontracts out.
Correct.
Correct.
So that budget is okay right now?
Yeah, so
You're okay with
for the city, so we put several, you want me to talk about it or you want to talk about
It's up to you. I'm happy either way.
it? So we put several things in place as far as metrics we want to see with our police here, right? 1 to 1,000, 1 officer to 1,000 people is key for us, right? 4-minute or less response times on code 3 calls. And it was 18 to 1,000 18 crimes to 1,000 people is where we want to be. And we're hitting all those levels right now. And we have made it a policy in the city of Star that 100% of our property tax budget goes to our police. Okay, that's my philosophy, right? Because when the economy goes to crap and things start going down, that's when we need the police more. I want to make certain that they're whole. I can't reduce police. I can reduce my salary. I can reduce the number of staff members we have, right? We could do all these other things, but the one agency that we're control is our police has to stay whole. Otherwise, we're all in trouble, right? But we've done some different things in Star to try to, that no one else is doing in the state. We're taking it, we're pushing the envelope a little bit. We put mitigation fees in place a year and a half ago? Yeah, a year and a half ago, where every new house that's built in Star has to contribute a fund to our police and our fire, right? However, those are one-time fees as long as growth goes, right? So we can try to get this House Bill 389 changed so we can increase our levy ability with new construction. So every new house that's built pays $1,120 to a fund police and $1,200 to fund the fire, right? So we utilized that fund this last year to hire 5 new officers, and we're able to continue that using that fund as our property tax numbers come up to cover those guys, right? And so we're doing things to try to make certain our public safety stays in place. The challenge we have with the fire is the fire just can't hire 1 or 2 guys. They got to hire the 9, but they got to have a sustainable budget of that 9 for every single year in order to keep them there at the station, right? So if we're only getting $700,000 or $800,000 on that fund every year, it's going to take a couple years to give them an egg that they can try to help build that up. And hopefully we can get the state to change some of their policies so we can get the funding into the fire district. Does that make sense? So we are doing a good job, I think, as we're one of the only cities that's actually growing that police, right? To make certain that our crime stays down on there, right? So. If I may. Sure, you may.
Is there a possibility that there could be a link on the city's website so that these particular areas have a pre-developed template that a citizen could download, alter it if they needed to, put their signature on it, and click a link?
Oh,
or
like
something
a
to send it to a legislator?
like a form letter? Yeah, doing a form letter. We can absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Depending on what the issue is, fire and police, even to extend to county.
Yeah.
You know, put something again. Obviously, you guys are far more qualified to put together a letter like that than we are.
Yeah, we absolutely, we can look at that. Yeah. So we'll go back and talk about that. And I mean, we try to tailor it to each side on for the public safety aspect of it. Yeah.
It would be great to have one for school impact fees, because I know I wrote my letter, but I'm just one person.
Well, I'll tell you, there is a bill, I think, that was introduced with school, about school impact fees. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but at least it got it printed. I was going through and looking at stuff, so. But the school impact fee is a bigger animal than other impact fees, the way the state's constitution is written. The state needs to step up and actually fund the schools the way they're supposed to, instead of putting the burden back onto the property taxpayer. There's a whole nother dynamic to that school impact fee. Yeah.
Letter that comes out once a month. that you
Yeah.
can have there that talks about the needs.
Okay.
Star.
Yeah. You got it?
To inform all of us more. I know
I know.
a lot of people think that this.
No, I get it. And I'm pointing at Dana to remind these guys for the letter. Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, one of the three. I always get said, tomorrow you got to have that. Dang it. And that's 5 o'clock. Did you get it done? Oh, I'm still working on it.
So let me talk about Star Police Department, get into that. As the mayor kind of talked about a little bit of some of the goals. So we are actually doing, one of the goals, we have one officer per 1,000. Now, just to get an idea of where we're at with that. So nationwide, they actually have 2.7 to 1,000 is the average. We're talking big cities there that we don't have the crime the big cities are fighting. Northwest America is about 1.9 to 1,000. And so this area, I feel very comfortable at 1 to 1,000 because of the area we live in, and we have the contract with the sheriff's office, that I have the resources of the Ada County Sheriff's Office, which is the biggest law enforcement agency in Idaho. I have their full resource if something big were to happen. And we've seen that. We've seen it where we've had 14 detectives out here working one case once we have something bad go. So we have those resources. So with the Star Police Department, we have right now 19 commissioned deputies and 1 professional staff. What that looks like is we have 10 patrol deputies that work on each side of the week. So we have 5 on each side of the week. We have two sergeants, so 1 on each side of the week to supervise them. We put together we're calling the problem-oriented police team, or the POP team. And that's a brand new team that we just put together in October. And we just got the second person last night on that team because we were able to add a person to patrol to take his spot so he can come out to that team. That team is purely proactive traffic enforcement, problem-oriented, problem areas within the city of Star. So if we have, problem houses, or if we have a rash of burglaries that are occurring at certain points, we can pull them off and they can just work those cases without having to take the calls for service. Now, they'll obviously, if they're working and a high priority call comes out that somebody needs help, they're going to go help. But they're going to be out there doing those things. And we're seeing some really good things come from that team. They're the ones I don't know if you see social media, but they're the ones in the blue Ford Explorers they're unmarked blue Ford Explorers. Still, when they hit the lights, that you can see all the lights pop on.
Got really pretty lights.
Yes.
Yeah, product.
Yes, absolutely. Then we do have 3 detectives. So we have a property crime detective that does any felony property crimes. We have 2 person crime detectives, and we just barely added that second person crime detective this year in October. We split their duties up a little bit. So one of them focuses more on kind of the violent felonies when it comes to assaults, domestic violence, those type of things. The other one does more towards the special victims unit, which is more sex type cases, child enticement type cases, those things that Detective Ashley Turner is her name, is working those ones. So we kind of split their duties up a little bit, and we're seeing some really good things from them as well. And then, am I missing anybody? I think and then myself as a chief is also counted in that commissioned deputy. So again, we're doing a great job on keeping up with the growth that we're seeing. And how that works, again, all those deputies I just stated, they're all designated and assigned to the city of Star. So though they're Ada County employees, they are here in Star and working Star full time. What else can I go on?
Well, I just want to say, we have probably the best deputies. We've created an environment in Star that all these deputies want to be a part of. And so when we have an opening, we get quite a few deputies that apply for that. So you get to really select some of the top ones here, which is awesome. And they all do a fantastic job. And this POP team thing, I mean, they go after drugs, human trafficking, all that stuff on our highways. We got 3 highways that come through Star, right? It's even become known now in the drug world not to bring your drugs through Star because you're going to get busted. That's what we want, right? That means that it's being effective. It's making impact because the highways are your corridors to bring drugs between those counties and stuff like that, the downtown Boise. So that's a good thing that helps keep that stuff out of our neighborhoods here. And they do a great job. It's a really cool group of guys and gals that watch them work together out here and how well they interact with the public and whatnot. And they understand that one mistake can ruin everything, right? So you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing, and they're fully aware of that. And they do a great job for us.
So there's 3 goals that the city of Star has when it comes to their police department. One, we already mentioned the 1 to 1,000. The second one is kind of mentioned a little bit, the less than 18 crimes per 1,000. So we were, and I've got to see, but we were the lowest crime rate city in the area, and we want to continue fighting that and making sure we're staying down that low. What's interesting about it too is if you look at these police reports that I do, I present a police report every month to the city council, to the mayor. And all these are on the city website. You can go on to and get a link and see the past. I think we've been doing it for it's been 2 years, last month. So we've been given those reports so you can go and look at it. What's interesting, and I brought it up in city council last month, our society crimes, which is more drug-related crimes, has almost doubled. Now, the reason being why that's happening is we're getting more traffic stops and we're pulling drugs out of cars. So instead of them passing through the city of Star and either delivering in the city Star or delivering somewhere else, we're pulling those drugs off the streets. But what's interesting is we dropped, when it comes to actual violent crimes, person crimes, we've dropped 38%. So what we're seeing is, again, we'll see how this year goes too, but I truly believe the more proactive we are on fighting these crimes, because drugs are all related to all sorts of crimes, burglary, robbery, even down to domestic violence, those type of things, drugs have to do with something with those crimes quite often. So the more we can fight those coming through our city or into our city, I think we're going to see those person crimes continue dropping. And that's what I focus more on. Again, when you first look at those society crimes, like, man, we almost doubled in that. Well, that's because we're being more proactive. We're out there pulling drugs out of cars, and it's having an effect, and a good effect, on our actual violent person crimes that dropped 38% in 1 year. Just to look at the proactivity level. So last month we had 237 calls for service, and those, in my mind, are reactive calls. That's when somebody somebody in Star calls and requests a deputy to respond. Either it's because they have, it's a code 3 call, which means we're running lights and siren getting there, or it's, hey, I have a fraud report. I need you to come and respond, right? We had 237 of those. Well, proactive calls, which means we actually initiated the call, we had 1,551 of those calls. So we're about 6.5 proactive calls to 1 reactive call. So we're a very proactive police department. And we're seeing the effects of being proactive that is keeping that crime rate low. And that's something you're not seeing throughout the whole country, is that sometimes police are afraid to go out and do the work because of all the legislative things, all the things that are happening. They're kind of in that rock and hard place. But here in Star, we have the support of the community that fully supports us to go out and do the work and be proactive, support of the mayor and the city council. And so we feel very comfortable going out and doing police work.
And when it's proactive, it's also, we're talking about, they do school checks. They'll go through the schools, they'll do checks of businesses at night, that's all part of that proactive, to make sure that there's not somebody out there being a hoodlum. Now, granted, we do get some of our youth, like we were youth, right, and do some stupid stuff sometimes, but our Damien does a great job. And our school, we have a school resource officer also up here at Star Middle School, does a great job on being able to identify those kids, and then we take care of that problem, right, at that point.
The other thing we did, talking about a school resource officer, Star Elementary does not have a school resource officer. And that's one of my biggest fears as you see these school shootings throughout the country. I never want that to happen here. And the response that we have, even though our response time, our goal is to be under 4 minutes. Well, right now we're about 2 minutes and 13 seconds from when you call 911 and we're there on scene. So we're very quick getting there, but there's a lot that can happen in 2 minutes at a school, right? So what we did this year, working with the principal of Start Elementary, with the mayor, when we added that second person crimes detective, who put his office at Start Elementary. So we have somebody there that's a law enforcement officer, knows how to combat somebody who's coming in to hurt those kids. And so it's a Band-Aid for now, because we got to get the funding to get a school resource officer there. But at least we have somebody there that can protect those kids.
And that
That's
funding
one thing we did.
typically comes from West Data School District, but we're supplementing that ourselves to try to make sure that we have the safety here.
Was a bill just passed in legislature, how teachers carry? Has that made it through the governor's office yet?
I don't know if he signed it yet. Did he sign it?
I don't think he signed it yet.
Yeah, I think there's several bills waiting waiting to be signed by the governor. I can't remember if that made it through both houses yet. I know it made it through one, but I don't know if it made it through both yet. Yeah. No, that's not a new phenomenon in Idaho, by the way. People need to understand, it's not a new thing. I mean, we got Garden Valley, for instance, the teachers carry in Garden Valley. They've carried for years,
Oh, I think it's a great
right?
idea.
So it's not a new thing when people get worried about that. I know the police have a different concern with some of the folks, but if they're trained, there's a different story there.
Do plan and resources that you can draw if and when that particular bill is approved, to be able to canvass the schools, find out of the staff and the teachers who would be willing, and then be able to vet them through a training program so that they're more of a benefit than a hazard. Is that something you have available?
So you bring up some very good questions, and that's some of the questions that we have when they're bringing that bill up. And I've read through the bill, and though I always encourage good people with guns will fight the bad people with guns, right? But the issue that comes in, like you're saying, is the training. And right now, we don't know exactly where the training is going to come from. In that bill, doesn't talk about training, that they need to be trained on that. And so there's some issues, I guess, in the long run. I like the idea where they're going with it, because we've seen, like what the mayor said, throughout Idaho, there's different areas that teachers are already carrying, right? Our biggest fear is we want well-trained people that know how to use that firearm if they need to. And when we respond, they need to know how to react when we respond, because we're not going to know if a teacher's carrying a gun, who's the good and who's the bad, right? And so there needs to be good training showing that we don't get good on good shootings, right? That when we're responding and we're giving commands and they're like, no, I'm the good person, but they had the gun in their hand. Well, law enforcement, they need to make that split-second decision. And so there's some things in it that we need to make sure if it does go, that we do the training and figure out exactly how that's going to be implemented.
Is there a possibility that we're able to follow a vetting process with training that actually be some sort of special deputization of that teacher? That maybe would even give them a badge, so that in an actual on-site situation, they could tuck that badge, in the blouse over their waistband, whatever, so that when you've got officers on site, you can see this person's been trained, they've been vetted, and they have an idea that the command that they give that person is going to be followed properly.
Right.
I think there's a lot of vetting that has to take place by all the agencies, starting with our sheriff's office, on how this is going to work, right? I mean, it can't be just Star doing this. It's going to have to be all over, because, well, I know, but we got to remember, if something were to happen here, it's not just going to be the Star deputies that are going to show up, right? It's going to be all hands on deck kind of a deal, where everybody's coming from everywhere. And so you're going to have some sort of uniform policy around the valley that's going to work. That's going to make sure everybody's safe, I think, in that aspect.
You don't just have firearm training. It's more than that. So for me, it would be, do they have the ability to know that if they're going to shoot at somebody, to be able to realize what's behind, things like that.
Yeah.
There's other specialized training that goes with that I would be concerned about, just a teacher just airing.
Yep. And we share the same concerns.
Yep.
Additional training.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And
So-
we share those same concerns.
Just real quick. So this report he's talking about, we have a police page on our website that has this on there every month. We also have Chief Tominski's report. He does the same thing, a report with the council every month as well. So if you guys want to see what's happening, it's always available for everybody. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I think that unless, I'll take any questions, if you have any questions about Star Police and what's occurring.
We're gonna start doing, they're gonna start doing the Eagle Rodeo.
Mhm.
Okay, that's new, right?
Mhm.
We know there's gonna be a traffic.
The location's new, yeah.
It's gonna be a huge traffic. And you're being able to handle anything that could arise in that area.
Yeah, so last year's the first, I think they're doing the same spot this year, right? Same location. So last year's the first time they did it. And we brought up some concerns of how are you going to get these trailers in and off of Highway 16, especially right at that bend, right? So it's a dangerous area. Highway 16 is dangerous in itself, and let alone you're now putting a bunch of trucks and trailers in that same area with a bunch of people. And so we worked with the Eagle Police Department, made sure we had extra staffing over there to help out. But it is a concern safety-wise, but we're aware of it, and we're trying to mitigate those concerns and do the best we can to make sure people are safe coming in and out of there and what we can do. But
I will tell you, we have also asked for them to reduce the speed. I don't know if they did that last year in that section, right? But there's also in the future on the Highway 16 corridor plan is to take that traffic, won't be coming right on and off that section. There's going to be a backage road that's going to bring you to Beacon Light or bring you up to RE Way in order to access that area. It's not going to happen overnight, but in the future, there won't be the access right on the Highway 16 from that area right there. Yeah.
My way out. It could be a real mess.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Any other questions of the?
you know, we're obviously, we run into every once in a while where somebody doesn't have, that's, I guess, illegal here in Star or Ada County. We don't have very many here in the city of Star. But I do know that the sheriff's aware of what's going on there, and that I guess we do everything we can to enforce the state laws and help the federal government enforce their laws. But an actual plan, I would have to look into that and see.
So it's, I don't know, are you from Idaho or? Arizona? Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, even on a ranch, we always saw, illegals have always been here. It's just the scope of the magnitude that we're seeing in today's world. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we're blessed right now that we're not seeing this is what I'm thankful for. Don't record this, right? I'm thankful that New York and that California and these guys haven't shipped them into conservative states from their location. To be honest with you, right? I just didn't want to get that out there on Fox News or something, right? To say that, but. Nationals, yeah.
Sure.
No, that's understood. I guess from our standpoint, from me, I guess if we see it become a problem, it's going to be dealt with pretty swiftly here in Idaho. I mean, there's nothing to deal with if it's not here yet, right? But well, true. Right. And the only thing you do, I mean, we can't put everybody at our border watching for vehicles and stuff coming in with illegals. That just doesn't work, right? I mean, if it becomes an issue, I know we'll hit here in Star. I can guarantee you that if it shows up here. So, I mean, that's my philosophy with that. We just hope that they take care of that at the border. I was at a Congressman Fulcher's little event this morning, and it's pretty interesting just talking to him about that whole dynamic along the border, and things that are already there, they're in place that could be enforced, that doesn't require the both houses of Congress to do anything today, that would just resolve this situation. It's just like, what are we doing? You know, it's just this polarization that we have as a country right now is creating our own demise because we're fighting and pushing against each other instead of doing what's common good for everybody. Right? And that's a problem. So the what? I'm sorry. Oh yeah. You gotta give me some good eating places. I'm going there in March. Right. Right. Yeah. But we can just, there's a kind of blessings right now that we're not dealing with that issue right now. And I know these guys are always talking about it, and the sheriff and stuff as well. I know they're not going to tell us what their plans are if they're going to happen, as you know, right? As police, that become a problem in the public, I think. Aye. All right.
Read a lot about the problems with
Gangs.
gangs.
Mhm. Yeah.
So far, we're fortunate that not much. I mean, every once in a while we have them passing through and we end up stopping them and identifying that they are part of a gang. But actually in the city of Star or in Ada County as a whole, we really don't have a gang problem.
That the whole gang thing's in it. So as we're part of what's called a Treasure Valley partnership. All the mayors and county commissioners in the Treasure Valley come together every month, and we all fund what's called the SALSA program, which is a U.S. attorney to attack gangs, drugs, human trafficking. Right. I was asking our U.S. attorney, what are we seeing? Do we need to hire another U.S. attorney so we can hammer it more? He goes, what we're seeing now is, because Caldwell's always had not always, I won't say always. Years ago, they had a gang problem, and they did a really good job of hammering that thing. And so these people get put in these federal prisons all over the country. Well, they're getting out of prison, they're coming home, and the kids are joining these gangs now. Right? So you're seeing a little, I personally see, when I just watch the news, a little uptick in the gang thing, regardless of what people say, not here in Star, but out there in the Canyon County. I grew up in this area, right? I've seen it all my life. I think you're here from here too, right? But it's a cycle thing that we got to try to break, right? What's been nice about, anytime we've had somebody try to set up shop in Star for a gang, our police have been all over them like flies on poo, right? And it pushes them out. Because how hard is it to do anything if they're always on you, which is nice. I think Caldwell's doing a great job right now trying to hammer it again, right? I think we're always going to see that gang issue on that side for whatever reason. That was the area that they always went to growing up. But it's fine.
Time, and what streets to stay away from.
So Indian Creek used to be a dump. Indian Creek is awesome. Right? And you could walk there at night and you still feel safe. It's not an issue of safety. I think it's more in the outskirts of the town that creates some of the challenges there. Yeah. Yeah. I just say good luck and Star. We have so many retired Leos here. We have our own police force here that and I can deputize every one of them if we needed to, and we're good. And I guarantee they would volunteer on that. Cool. So the city of Star, it's 4:30, but we could keep going for a little bit. Is that all right, Dana? Okay. I just want to make sure I don't get yelled at by Dana.
Mayor,
Yes, go
I'm
ahead.
going to have to leave here in a few minutes.
Okay.
so If there's any final questions for fire, I'm happy to answer them, but I have another appointment, unfortunately.
That's all right. Okay. Yeah. We do these once a month, so you come back and ask and stuff. So, are you leaving? Okay. All right. So if you guys do you have questions about the city stuff? I know you could just ask me. I just won't go into stuff. Just ask me questions. I'll try to answer stuff. So before you leave, any city questions? Okay. Uh-huh.
They started tearing down trees and moving dirt. Needed the neighborhood, Aaron River.
Well, they did know, because I did meet with the neighbors that were there at the time to talk about their backyards specifically and where the trees and stuff were going to go in their backyard. Freedom Park has always been designated as a park. Well, not as the name Freedom Park, as a park since that development was created. Originally, it was going to be ball fields. Originally. So thankfully, we're not doing ball fields over there anymore. It's actually going to be more of an open nature thing. The trees that had to come down because of safety issues. But they're utilizing some of those old trees as ground cover and stuff like that for like the quail and things like that that are going to happen out there. So you're going to have fescue grasses that are going to be planted out there, some pollinator areas that will be planted out there. You know, we have the pathway that goes around the sides where the neighborhoods come down to the water right there. There'll be a second fence that gets brought down towards the water to prevent people from coming inside, right? Things like that. So no, I totally get it, but it's always been designated as a park. It was going to be a different park back in the day, right? So thankfully, they dug out those ponds to elevate your development out of the flood zone. That changed the whole dynamics of how that park is going to be utilized out there. Yeah. So, and there will be, we bought property. So like, I can't remember the name of the road that goes right there where your clubhouse is supposed to go, where the stop sign is over there somewhere. Yeah, well, the main one that drives back to Otter Rock back there somehow. Maybe it's Otter Rock. I don't remember the name. Yeah, Caribbean Inlet or whatever. So there'll be some signs posted for no parking along there, directing people to go park at the River House. We bought the property north of the River House, the acre, to add more parking and stuff over there as well. And that's where people are going to take their access primarily to come into that park if they're going to drive there. Yeah.
Be able to walk
Yeah, you can walk through there. There's between the two developments on the others, where you see this fence and the black stuff. That's right. You're not going to be parking there. Yeah, it's a public park. It's a public park. It's not entitled just for Heron River residents. It's for the citizens of Star. You know, I mean, that's the reality. I mean, it's not there's parts of it in the back that are Heron River only. Well, back towards the river side on the east side, and that's going to be fenced off as well. So people can't access the Heron River only section over there on that side. Yeah. Yep. Did that answer your question? Yeah. And there's if it's Heron River property, yes.
No.
But on the streets, it's public streets and public right of way. They can't do a gated community unless they turn it private roads, and that's not going to happen. Because we can't do private roads on public streets, or we can't gate public streets. It just doesn't, everybody's taxes pay for those. If it was a private, like in Pinewood Lakes, there's a preserve back there. That's a private section. That's gated. Those are private roads. Those citizens in there have to pay for the maintenance of that road back there because it's private. Yeah.
And it is my understanding that Freedom Park, it was a part of the development agreement way back when.
Back in 2006 when that.
It was an actual agreement prior to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a long time ago. Yep. So it's a public park. It's going to be a beautiful one too when it's all done. I like it. I like the rock work we've done, the sand. You know, fish are going to be stocked in there. Fishing game will be stocking that monthly when it's done. I'm hoping this summer. I'm hoping. We were hoping this spring, but it kind of, the weather kind of held us off. It got a little sloppy back in there. But you don't have any dust right now, right? That's a positive right now. Any other questions or what's going on here in Star? Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
There's going to be a park up there.
Mm-hmm. There is. So there's 59 acres? 59 acres on the other side of the canal. You know, when you drive up Wing Road, there's a cul-de-sac there. So we got 59 acres that's being deeded to the city with the final phase of your development, the Trident Ridge on the east side. When that gets, the final phase, when that gets deeded to us, they're required to give us $60,000 also, so we can help build a footbridge for that. And that footbridge will take us back in there, and then it's not going to be a manicured park. It's going to be more of a trails and pathways thing up in that 59 acres up there. And we'll have some seating areas and things like that up along that area when that gets done. Now, Can't use the canal bank. That is the one irrigation district we cannot crack the nut to allow us to utilize that. We're trying. We got 2 done. We just can't get them to agree. But there will be some parking. It's going to be figured out. I can't remember how exactly it's going to look, but some parking down in that cul-de-sac area right there as well for that park up there. Now, down there in front of Roseland's, there's a 7 acres of that square. The school district owns that. The school district doesn't have any plans to build a school on that site for quite some time. So we have got a lease agreement with them for, I think it's 50 years or something up there, that we're going to put a park into that area as well, which have manicured grass and, playground stuff and stuff. But we're going to get all the citizens that live in Roseland's right there and across the street, New Hope. We're going to get a committee of citizens together to help figure out and design that park since it's in their backyard on that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
2 questions about the intersection of 16 and Floating Feather.
Uh-huh.
Has it there's going to be at some point in time, maybe not necessarily a lifetime, overpass?
So this is a point of contention with me and ITD right now. We've been discussing that intersection for quite some time. They want to take away all access to Highway 16. And I said, you can't. It's I got 5 connection points to the highway system, and that's one of them. If you take it away, it makes traffic worse everywhere else. See ya. You betcha. Have a good one. Thank you. So we went, and I worked with the previous District 3 engineer from ITD, and we came up with a modified plan where 16 would go over Floating Feather with on and on ramps in between the north and southbound lanes of 16. And when they were working on this environmental study, the one I was telling you about how that frontage and backage road, it's the same study. They were trying to tell us that they're not going to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? We've been working on this. So we had our engineers go out and we found that exact design used in other parts of the country and plotted out on the paper to show them that this will work. Now they're finally taking that and running it in against some traffic numbers to see if it's going to work and flow well with Highway 16 going over 44. There's an overpass that's going there, right? So they want to make sure that everything's going to flow right, that we're not going to create ourselves a traffic accident nightmare right there with the merging traffics and stuff like that. So our hope is that we have some sort of overpass, so we have connectivity on the other side. City of Eagle doesn't want it. So I don't know if you realize, if you look on the Star side of that, we required that development to leave a ton of right of way there for an overpass. City of Eagle refused to do that. They wouldn't do it because they're trying to force the hand of not allowing this overpass. Oh, I know. Trust me, we're battling it. Chief is battling it because he's like, wait a minute, my fire station's right down the road. I need to be able to access this whole segment out here to be able to provide life safety issues. So we're working through all the dynamics of that on there, but we've come up with a solution. Our engineers were awesome. They were able to take it and plot it out on a map, and lay it all out to show exactly that it fits in the current right of way. They don't have to buy any more right of way. It's just a matter of running those traffic numbers and models to make sure it's going to be safe. This morning at 7, they called me, ITD called me, and we had a pretty good discussion again about that. Not in your and I's lifetime. That's not true either. It just depends. ICHD was kind of on board with this before. And so it depends on if we can get all the partners together, like when we have proportionate share money that goes to unfunded sections of the state highway improvements here in Star that we put in place. No one else is doing it. That's what paid to widen the section in front of Albertsons. It was this fund that we put in place in April 2020. We can utilize that fund for this and try to get ACHD on board and ITD. And if we all can just come together, we can get that thing done and funded, I think, pretty quick.
Last question.
No, you could question me all day long. It's good.
Sales sign on it. Assuming it's probably been sold.
I don't think it's been sold. Dale Stevens he threw an incredible high number on that property to see if anybody would bite. Yeah, and Dale's a longtime resident of Star. His family, in fact, my subdivision, Stephen Springs, was from his family's farm that I'm in. Yeah.
Right behind it, I understand there's a piece.
You what?
He was featured as part of our history.
Yeah.
Interview, so there's a lot about him growing up in Star.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
But there is a section which I understand is a Franz Woody property,
Mhm.
which is right there at Hornback. Mill Creek.
Yep.
It's all fenced, but there's been no activity on that property. Does that developer, Franz, does he have until infinity to basically do something?
So the plat's all done and stuff on that. Yeah. You're talking the part, they've already cut the roads in and stuff over there. Yeah. They build whenever they choose to build. The house is on there. Yeah. If it was in a preliminary plat stage, the preliminary plat expires after 2 years. But they've already got that. They're past their preliminary plat stage. They've got the roads in and got the final plat. Yeah, and the underground on it. Yeah. Yep. Yep. You're welcome. I hope I would love to see Dell, just donate it as a park. I mean, I could only wish, right? It'd be great to have that, his horse property as a park, even the sheep property down the street. I would love to see that as a park on there. I would tell you, so I know people, you love sheep. Well, hey, you're getting to the time of the year, man, you're going to see all the ewes, I guess, right? Out there. That's really cool out there. I know we have, people get concerned about growth and all that, but we as a city are not trying to go out and we don't promote it. We would love to be able to buy this land and leave it open, but we don't have the resources to do that. It just doesn't happen. So these places like the 60 acres at Heron River, when you can work out a development, a deal with the developer, or the 59 acres that we worked out a deal with the developer to get that property up there. And we take that stuff all day long to provide public access space for the citizens of Star, right? I think that's good. Hunters Creek Park, if anybody hasn't been here for a long time, was intended to be an entire housing development. But back in 2008, when the R9, when the market tanked, it went bankrupt, and the city was able to buy that from the bank at cheap money to create the park, right? And so, I mean, sometimes you get lucky, right? But we got lucky at somebody else's expense, right? Developing expense, but we're trying. So in Star, we have done things to, I don't know if you hear Boise talking about upzoning and all this kind of stuff, but we downzoned in Star over the last 4 years. We knocked out 40% of the available density in Star in housing. So that's quite a bit, because we know that at the growth that we're seeing, which was unprecedented after COVID, right? People are bailing out of the West Coast to come here for the right reasons, that we couldn't handle that kind of growth at this rate. It just doesn't work. If it would have stayed at the slow pace that it was going, we could have caught up just fine with that. So we knocked out 40% of the density available in the development. So all these developments that are being built now are at a reduced density from what it used to be on our comprehensive plan, right? So we're trying to find different ways to combat this stuff, right? By putting mitigation fees in place, by putting proportionate share agreements in place, but we continue to fight the state on everything, right? So, yeah. Any other questions or anything? I know Highway 16, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just real quick. This segment of Highway 44 from Star Road to Highway 16, we're hoping that it'll start next year with the state. The state had that initially funded all the way to the interstate, but when Middleton got rid of the bypass in their plan, it threw out the federal documents that they were utilizing, the federal environmental studies, that then stopped the funding. ITD was able to come and salvage this section for us with that same document, but it added time for them to be able to utilize that federal funding for this. I tried to go, Mike, just give us $10 million, we'll get it done, right, from the state, right, instead of waiting for the federal money on that. But we're hoping next year that this will get widened here, and then we'll have that 5-lane segment, from Canada all the way into downtown Boise, which would be nice on there. Oh, right here, yeah. Well, we're working with ITD to re-stripe the turn, to make it a turn lane there and merge further back here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And then who controls the speed limits?
ITD does. So we're already working on a speed limit study for the city of Star to try to make it a universal speed limit from Highway 16. Well, it's probably going to be 30 or 35 from 16 all the way to Canyon Road. You just step on your gas. I know.
Got the people trying
Yeah.
to do McDonald's and whatever right there. And it's like, you can't go because they're in that middle lane.
Yeah. I would tell you though, even with this, with what we've done down here, you know, it's made it a lot easier to get across here in this segment. So I think when it gets widened and you spread out that traffic, you're gonna get those gaps versus the straight line of cars going like there. Yeah.
That's, the vehicle's traveling slower when you're trying to get out of certain areas. I would love to say 25.
I'm gonna just tell you, I wouldn't count on that because we don't control it, but ITD is talking it's 30, 35 on that. So we try to give suggestions and we have. Yeah, yeah.
That floating feather thing, don't give up.
No, we're not giving up on, I won't. You trust me. Trust me. No. These guys, I got so when we went to the environmental thing that they had at the church, they did not do anything they talked about with us about floating feather. I was so mad. I blew up at them over there on that, and we are meeting and talking about it because only one agency, if they fight against that environmental study, it's going to delay it, and they don't want to delay it. They want to get the construction going. Well, then fine, you're not going to screw the city of Star just simply because you want to, right? I'm going to make sure that we have the access that we need on our state highway systems there. The what? What I have, oh, you mean the Calvary one over there? I don't know. It's up to them. On
Part of that, right?
no, they're,
I mean, you know, it's on.
it's on, I'm sorry. Let me talk into that. I'm sorry. Yes, we don't know when they're going to start on that, you know, so. Floating Feather on Highway 16, the Calvary Church bought like 17 acres, I think, over there. Yeah. Better than the storage units that wanted to come in there by far. Yeah. Yep.
Anything that you, I mean, it just, everybody's speeding down. And I know that the county doesn't like to put speed signs up. But is there anything that you guys have looked at to try to get?
You can't make them slow down unless you pull them over. And that's what our pop team is going into these places and pulling people over. Yeah.
Yeah, we have those two pop team that are in the unmarked blue Ford Explorers. We've had, if you look at our traffic, how many traffic stops we've done just as we added that team, it's increased by a lot.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is we had that speed trailer that we put out. Have you seen that out there? Right.
Just like, the average speed was 40 to 50.
And where's that at? Okay.
It's between,
Yep.
Cosmo and, yeah.
So there's some things that we've been trying to do. One of the things we've asked for the actual speed limit that shows up, and I saw that they put it on.
They put it on Plumber, finally.
And so we've been asking for those. We've been asking those for years. They
Yeah.
finally started putting those up, which I think helps. I mean, last year I made quite a few traffic stops over off of Hercules, and it's amazing. They're like, well, no, it's 30 miles an hour through. I said, no, it's 20 miles an hour through here.
Those
So
were neighbors.
yeah, those are
live there.
neighbors.
You can, yeah. What do you mean?
My opinion is most of the traffic that goes on Plummer right there turns off the state.
Oh, no, I know.
By
But
the time you make the turn and begin to accelerate and you see that.
It's you're at
sign,
25 is all.
21 miles an
Right.
hour.
Right.
And it's like, okay, give me another.
But I'm gonna just say, this is what I'm gonna say.
At least if you move that.
I'm just thankful that they got it up
Right.
because it's taken us this long to get it. Now, on the other side, it's down further. There's two of them on Plummer. I noticed that today. Yeah, because it was yelling at me. Shh, play yours. I don't speed.
I'll do it every once in a while.
It was closer to Floating Feather,
You
yeah,
know,
going southbound.
Yell at my daughter.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. We're trying to get them to move that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay. How hard it would be to a city of, who said that? Okay. A City of Star Police Department would be extremely expensive to run it on our own. The city of Middleton did this years ago. They used to have a contract through Canyon County. And then they created their own police department over there. And they've had struggles since they've done that because they can't pay nearly what they can pay at the bigger agencies, right? And right now they can't even hire police officers right now over there. And where we have the opportunity with this contract, we have the disposal of the entire Ada County Sheriff's Office if we need it at no additional cost to us. It's a system that works for us. You would probably, there's not a mechanism really in place for us as a city to increase our taxes to be able to cover what we would need to cover if we were to have our own police department here. Because we're talking about vehicles, you're talking about all the equipment, the body gear, the training, the rifle, all that stuff. It would be very expensive for the city of Star to take that on our own. So we would have to get really big in order to be able to handle that. Well, it's 2.7 million.
Well, just under 2.9.
Yeah, almost under 2. Oh, that's right, because we had 2.9 million, 1.85 million of that from property tax, and the rest of it through mitigation fees and some of our savings we're using until we can get that built up. Yeah.
So just to put in perspective of the size of City of Star, if you look at Garden City Police Department compared to Star Police Department, Garden City has about, I think it's about 13,000 people, somewhere around there. And their budget's $6 million, and they're doing their own police department.
Other police department.
Ours, we're probably about 19,000 people in City of Star, so we're 6,000 people larger than them population-wise, and ours is 2.9 million, just under 2.9 million. And it's not only just that we can use the Ada County resources. To be honest, I would always fight for the contract because of the fact of the resources and just the information and knowledge, always meeting with the Ada County Sheriff's Office. When you look at City of Eagles, ran the same way. They're a contract with the Ada County Sheriff's Office, and so is CUNA. So just once a month, well, once a week, every Wednesday, I'm at meetings over at the main Sheriff's Office, and just the amount of information that we're getting and utilizing and you know, meeting about is huge on my
Intel
too.
is good. You got the cooperation of everybody, right?
And it truly is. I mean, you look at all the police cars, it says Star Police on it. I mean, it's the mayor, it's his police force here in the city of Star. And I go to him and I go to the sheriff, say, hey, this is what Star needs. And usually that's what happens. And so I do have two bosses. My job's harder because I have two bosses. I got the mayor and the sheriff, but they're both really good to work for. And
We're
works out really well.
Sheriff's boss. Remember that. We voted him in.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. But I have deputized authority though, too. I've never used it. Was that, oh, you're welcome. Yep. Any other questions on anything? I mean, we got lots going on in the city. We are started a new program, just so everybody knows, called Halo. Hometown Angels Lifting Others is what we're calling it. And it's an effort for us to get the youth together, the teenagers, because we're seeing a high volume of mental health crisis issues. And what I'm seeing, we got so many kids that have moved, this is my opinion, and from what I see just talking, so many kids that have moved into this valley or in a unit Star that don't have a sense of identity anymore, moving from where they came from. They don't know where they belong. And it's creating some challenges. And on top of just coming off of COVID in some of the areas that they were shut down for so long. Yeah, it's post-COVID. It's horrible. And so we, Dana, Annie, myself, and Ryan and Krista, she got kind of put this program together, and we had our first one on Monday night at the Star Rec Center. We had 14 teenagers show up. It was awesome. And you can definitely see that they just needed someplace to go and vent and talk and kind of hang out and play games and do all that kind of stuff. And you're going to see more of that as we move on because it's important for us to hammer some of the mental health thing and try to stop some of this teen suicide stuff that's happening that you're seeing. Well, it will. I mean, you give them an avenue to show that people care, right? That we as a community care about you. And it's really, I'm excited for it. It's something that we've been looking at doing for a while, just couldn't figure out how to, and it just kind of went like that real quick. Hello, right? So just so you know, you'll see advertisements for that and things like that. So it's cool, cool aspect. Okay, what else? Anything else? You'll see us constantly battling with the ACHD and ITD and Canyon Highway District 4 or Highway District 4 now about our road improvement stuff. Hey, be careful out in the traffic. You left at 5. So don't turn left. Good. There you go. You'll see us constantly working with those agencies on trying to get the road improvements that we need in the city of Star. ACHD is a unique animal here in Idaho and in the country. That's where they control all the roads that are not state highways in all of Ada County through all 6 of the cities, Boise, Meridian, everything. And so we have to plead our cases to try to get them to do stuff on our roads here, and that's painful, right? Especially with all the impact fees that we collect for them. We expect them to use it out here, but we're trying to push them to get Star Road completed. So next year, they're going to start the design work where we're going to want to widen Star Road from Highway 44 to Chinden, which requires a bridge replacement over there to make the bridge bigger, right? And that's important because if you look at it, there's only this bridge and the one in Middleton for this entire segment of getting people north and south besides Highway 16 right here. And so we're working with ACHD on trying to, because originally we're going to do that to 2035. And so we hammered them pretty good this last year and they got into the 2025 design mode. It's probably going to be a $45-50 million project, but it's going to be a big one to get that done. There's 5 total bridges that they have to replace over there on that. It's legal, yeah. So if you guys are interested in participating in the Republican caucus, if you're a registered Republican I'm the caucus captain, by the way. So I'm the one running it over there, so it's okay. If you're, the caucus is on March 2nd over at Star Middle School. If you're a registered Republican as of December 31st, you can participate in that caucus. You have to bring a valid ID with you. It starts at noon. I believe we end at 4, I think. I can't remember, somewhere in there on that day. And that's where we have 6 candidates, even though we know there's 3 of them that withdrew or suspended their campaigns, right? There's still 6 candidates on the ballot over there for us to select for. Yeah, good luck. Good luck, right, on that. It's May 2nd or March 2nd. Yeah. So if you're interested in it, you'll start seeing signage going up places and stuff like that. We'll start doing some social media stuff, but participate in it. I mean, that's your chance to vote for who you want for the Republican ticket president if you're a Republican. The Democrats, I think, they have their own caucus. Someone, I don't know, May, I think. Well, it doesn't matter if we don't care. It's the process. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You have your process, right, on there. Okay? Cool.
We keep an elections page on the website, so if you're ever wondering,
Yep.
how do I register? Where do I vote? What does my ballot look like? How do I change my address? We have the Ada County elections and the County
Yep.
elections website on our website. So just get out.
The caucus stuff is different, though, from that. So just remember that. Completely different. Yeah. Yep.
We got a lot of people that come in and
Huh?
ask how to register.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. One man can't make the change. It takes more. Remember that. Right. All right. Anything else? It's 5 o'clock, right on the button. I appreciate y'all coming. This is awesome. I mean, the more the merrier, which is great, right? So, yeah, if we get people coming, I love it.
Yeah, please do, because I know both fire chief and myself, and I know the mayor's the same. We love to hear from you of what you're seeing. So things like this is huge for us. So we'd love to have more people come and ask questions. Yes.
My biggest thing is the social media aspect is painful because people just make things up. And that's why you'll see me go on there and say, listen, that's not the case. Just come and ask, because I'll tell you, right? There's nothing to hide at all here in this.
That it was about the application. Someone made a comment that you're not You must be in cahoots.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, will you please address why?
So if there's an application that's been filed with the city and it's pending, we can't respond at all on social media. The only time that we can talk about it is in the public hearing. So no one is hiding anything or in cahoots with anybody. There's laws that we have to follow when you're dealing with a public hearing. Everybody has a right to have a quasi judicial public hearing where their elected officials are not out there getting outside comments or getting a preconceived notion of what it's about. They listen to everything that comes right here at the podium and the testimony from the people out there, and they have to apply the laws. They can't apply emotion. They have to apply the laws to the decisions that they're making. Right? That's the key with that. Very important to know that. You know, that anything that's public land use, private property rights trump a lot of things here in Idaho. And that's big, right? And we have to follow the laws that are established when we do that. Anything else I'll comment on. I'll comment all day long.
Unfortunately, you get beat up a lot.
I do.
Well, I even asked you, I came to you and I'm like, wait, were you the mayor of Eagle before? Because somebody had even said that you were mayor over there and you're just trying to expand this and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
And I asked you about it. I just came to you and asked you. But, like you said, there's laws
Mm-hmm.
that govern.
What we do.
And
just realize why he gets the big buck.
So I get chewed on. There's a lot of me to chew on, and I'm gristly. But I will say, so my philosophy has always been life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The basic tenets of our U.S. Constitution. I'm going to follow that. I'm not going to follow anything else that's going to take us outside that. That's my